CTV Edmonton, local breaking news with Evan Kenny.
I do believe there's nothing we could have done. There's no amount of resources or firefighters or air tankers that could have stopped that fire.
365 days since disaster. A look at Jasper 1 year after a wildfire rolled in and burned a third of the town. Good evening. It's been 1 year since lightning strikes ignited a wildfire that overwhelmed the town of Jasper, burning through a third of the community. Recovery is a complicated work in progress, and a recent report on the fire has fueled political tension. CTV's Jeremy Thompson has the latest from Jasper.
The glow from the fire that hit Jasper was visible more than 80 kilometers down the highway that day. A wall of fire Parks Canada assessed at 50 meters high, propelled up the valley from the south by dry conditions and strong winds.
As the incident commander for the municipality of Jasper, I do believe there's nothing we could have done. There's no amount of resources or firefighters or air tankers that could have stopped that fire.
Crews tried to stop it. Fresh fire breaks, sprinkler systems, and teams on the ground couldn't stop homes and businesses catching fire from flaming debris raining from the sky.
You're always going to have an ember shower. Ahead of that fire will come the flying debris that will ignite something in your yard, something on your property.
Jasper is reviewing how the fire response could have been done better. An after-action report commissioned by the town and authored by 2 consulting firms was published last week. One small section suggesting the province disrupted the focus of incident commanders caught the ire of Premier Danielle Smith.
It took place in a federal park, and it was a federal Parks Canada response. So whatever it is that they are trying to do to deflect blame, I'm not impressed with it, and I would ask for an apology.
We have always acknowledged our gratitude to the province for the support that they have provided.
No apology from Mayor Richard Ireland, instead offering a clarification.
It was not intended to ascribe blame, and it does not ascribe blame. It describes circumstances.
The Premier also criticized Parks Canada's forest management before the fire, calling the efforts poor.
Parks Canada maintains it has been properly managing fire risk in the forest around Jasper. This is one of the areas where crews have cleared out certain trees and a bunch of other fuel. It is expensive work, and Parks Canada staff say it's a fine balance between public safety and keeping the area natural.
We did have a lot of fire risk reduction work on the landscape prior to last summer's fire. But the month of July last year was simply off the charts in terms of the hot, dry weather.
Officials with parks and the town say the most practical improvement to reduce damage next time around is to get more people to fire smart their properties. Rebuilt homes will do that by default. The fire department is also rolling out a residential sprinkler system to be activated when the fire risk is high. In Jasper, Jeremy Thompson, CTV News.
The Insurance Bureau of Canada is asking the federal government to lead talks with provinces on disaster recovery. IBC says that as of July 7th, officials have only issued rebuilding permits for 56 of the 358 buildings that burned down in Jasper. That's much slower than after the 2016 Fort McMurray fires. Part of the complication is the added regulation from the town being in a national park. IBC says a lack of coordination and standardized response is also an issue. The Bureau says delays are becoming an issue after large-scale natural disasters. People in the town of Slave Lake are being told to prepare for an evacuation due to an out-of-control wildfire nearby. The fire is just northeast of the town on the east side of Highway 88. The entire town is on an 8-hour evacuation notice. People in the MD of Lesser Slave River are on a 4-hour evacuation notice. That includes people located in the hamlet of Martin Beach, Summerwood, Township Road 740, and Gilwood Golf Course. Alberta Wildfire says rain and cooler temperatures are helping in the firefight. Across the province, there are 62 wildfires burning, 16 are out of control. The Premier is condemning the alleged surveillance of an Alberta journalist. Details were released in a Globe and Mail report today. It says journalist Carrie Tate was followed and photographed without her knowledge, and those photos were posted to an anonymous X account. Tate has published multiple stories about former AHS CEO Athena Mentzelopoulos, alleging she was fired for investigating private healthcare contracts. The pictures of Tate were posted by an online account called The Broke Down. They included messages of They included images of her meeting with two former political staffers in Danielle Smith's government. CTV News asked the Premier about the article today.
I condemn it. No one should be harassing anybody, and I don't comment on sock puppet accounts. I have no idea who's behind it, and so if there's criminal harassment, I hope that the RCMP finds them and punishes them to the full extent of the law.
The Globe and Mail says attempts to interfere with legitimate news gathering is an attack on the public's right to know. More than 140 candidates will be swearing off against Pierre Poilievre in next month's by-election for the federal riding of Battle River Crowfoot. While the majority are protest candidates, some believe they have a real chance. CTV's Merrick Takash spoke with a few of them.
Running against the federal conservative machine, a tall task for independents like Bonnie Critchley.
It is very important to me that Battle River Crowfoot gets to have a voice in Parliament.
Critchley's run triggered by the resignation of the riding's former MP, Damien Currick.
When Damien asked us for a mandate, we gave him one. And then he turns around and says, I don't want that. Let's bring in the angry guy from Ottawa instead. And that just didn't sit right with me.
Currick won the riding in April's federal election with more than 80% of the vote. A few weeks later, he stepped aside so Pierre Poilievre could run after the Conservative Party leader lost his Ottawa riding in April. Now, Currick serves as Poilievre's campaign manager.
My wife, Danielle, and I decided that this was a way that we could serve our country, serve our province, and serve this region to ensure that those values are fought for by the Pierre Poilievre being back in Parliament as Leader of the Opposition.
Sarah Spanier is also an independent candidate who doesn't want to see Poilievre represent this riding.
I think it shows fear. If he's coming to the easiest riding, as we are labeled, he, in my opinion, doesn't feel like he can go secure that anywhere else.
She knows it's a long shot, but she believes beating Poilievre is possible.
When we get into a conversation and they actually take the time to listen and hear what I'm saying, it has turned into signatures. So I just have to do that 100,000 times in a month.
Some riding residents are divided on the effect candidates like Spanier and Critchley will have.
Absolutely, they stand a chance. They stand a chance to not get Poilievre elected. It worked in Ottawa. It would work here, I hope.
It's conservative. This is a conservative, but not totally crazy area.
Critchley thinks that may not matter.
82% of the voters voted for Damien. They didn't necessarily vote for the Conservative Party. They voted for the local guy who showed up for them.
Voters head to the polls on Monday, August 18th. Merrick Takash, CTV News, Camrose.
RCMP says several candidates have reported potentially threatening comments on social media. It is reminding Albertans that comments that cross the line into criminal conduct will be taken seriously. The race to be the next mayor of Edmonton just got a little more crowded. Former councillor Michael Walters is throwing his hat into the ring. He's joining a growing list of current and former councillors vying for the top job. CTV's Connor Hogg met with Walters today to discuss his motivations.
I think we're at a point where we have to look at Edmonton's future optimistically. There's so much potential and promise in our city.
Two-time Edmonton City Councillor Michael Walters plans to return to City Hall, this time in the mayor's seat.
I put myself forward as a practical, as a unifying, and as a decisive candidate for mayor.
He's promising to tackle the city's housing shortage, affordability, safety, and the efficiency of city services. He says expensive construction projects with long timelines have been normalized. Walters served on council in what was then known as Ward 10 from 2013 until 2021. He says in the years since, politics has become much more divisive.
I think we need to depolarize, and that's my skill, is fundamentally looking across at people who are different than me, who think differently than I do, and finding some common ground to that.
I suspect that he looked at the field, saw that it's really a competition with Tim Cartmel and Andrew Knack, and he was thinking, you know, I have as much to offer as those guys.
Political analyst John Brennan welcomes Walters into the expanding race for mayor, stacked with current and former faces, sitting councillors Cartmel and Knack, former councillor Tony Katerina, and former federal MP Raheem Jasper. Brennan says Walters is positioning himself as a change candidate with some similar talking points as Tim Cardmell.
You know, this current council is dysfunctional. This current council hasn't been delivering. They haven't been focusing on the things that Edmontonians really care about. I can bring that. Now, will he be successful? That's the question.
Walters says the city needs a candidate for the moment. He believes this moment calls for someone who can bring people together.
We can find the 75% of ground that we agree on.
Election day is October 20th. Connor Hogg, CTV News, Edmonton.
The opening of Bordon Pool has been delayed again. The pool was supposed to open today. It will now open tomorrow. The city says this time weather is to blame. The pool was originally scheduled to open back in June, but a small leak was found in one of the pool basins. The pool is in Bordon Park, and it is Canada's first public man-made natural swimming pool. It's cleaned using natural filters instead of chemicals. Alberta Health is recording 2 more cases of measles in Edmonton over the weekend. It brings the total number of cases in our city since the outbreak began to 16. That number is the lowest in the province. The north and south zones each recorded 22 confirmed cases over the weekend. Calgary added 1 to its total. The number of confirmed cases in Alberta has surpassed the 1,400 mark. 2 10-year-olds are acting as co-commanding officers with the RCMP today and tomorrow. Janine Witch from Fort McMurray was test driving a robot as Tessa Booth from Lloydminster took a ride in a helicopter. The pair were selected for this experience by the Kids with Cancer Society. Janine and Tessa both enjoyed using different pieces of police equipment at a hangar at the Edmonton International Airport.
What has been your favorite part so far?
Flying the drone.
Flying the drone? And why was that your favorite part?
Because it actually felt like I was wearing a jetpack and I was flying. My favorite part was probably the robot thing.
What did you like about the robot, the bomb robot?
I liked how I could control it and it goes fast.
It starts out as a gift that we think we're giving to these children, but I look at you and all of you here, all of these members here, the reaction. The gift is from these little girls, the gift of strength, the gift of resilience, the gift of hope.
The pair wrapped up their morning by boarding a plane bound for RCMP headquarters in Regina. Coming up next, putting down the drinks changes how Albertans indulge. Also just ahead, plenty for picking, why berry farms in the province are seeing an uptick in pickings.
Our opening day was one of the best opening days we've had in years, and maybe ever, actually.
Well, after a wet weekend and a wet start to the week, we are set to clear out and warm up. Tuesday, it's going to be nice and bright and sunny by the time we get into the afternoon. Our temperatures getting into the 20s as we go throughout the next few days, possibly into the higher 20s. I have all those details, your 5- and 10-day forecast coming up.
Statistics Canada is reporting a shift in how Albertans unwind. Fewer with a drink after a long day, more lighting up a joint. Still, as CTV's Kevin Green reports, it's not clear the 2 trends are linked.
Statistics Canada says alcohol sales dropped by about 1.4% in Alberta through 2024, the steepest decline in the country. The polling company Ipsos tracks alcohol use across Canada.
So there is a double-edged, decline in what we're seeing. Lesser people are drinking, and those who are drinking less often.
The polling company also asked people why they drink less.
In general, they're kind of keeping track of their health and alcohol not being consumed because they are focusing on their physical and mental health.
Inflation is also a factor, according to Brock University business professor Michael Armstrong.
It's hard to find a good job. It's hard to afford housing. So if you're going to cut back on something, alcohol is is an optional expense, a discretionary expense.
The founder of Toolshed Brewery saw the trend coming right in his own home.
You know, I have 3 sons in their 20s, and when they come out for a beer, they have a beer, and then they have a non-alc, and then they have a beer, and then they have a non-alc. It's very different than when I grew up. That was not the case.
Now his company makes an award-winning non-alcoholic beer, and its sales are soaring. You see the trend continuing?
Yeah, absolutely. I think as a craft brewery, we're looking at where the market is going. You always have to be looking ahead at where the trends in the market is going.
At the same time booze consumption drops, cannabis sales in Alberta are up 7%, rising to more than $760 million. The manager of Record High agrees economics are a big factor.
So people can get 4 pre-rolls for the price of a beer or 2. You know what I mean? So the experience can last longer for them. They can enjoy a product longer than maybe just a single drink or 2.
While it may be tempting to say cannabis is stealing alcohol's buzz, experts say it's more likely that legal cannabis is relatively new with greater growth potential than an aging alcohol market. Kevin Green, CTV News, Calgary.
A bear warning is now in place in part of Kananaskis country after a Calgary couple came face-to-face with a grizzly. The couple says they were hiking to Troll Falls Saturday afternoon. They had stopped to take photos on an empty trail when they spotted the grizzly coming towards them. The pair started filming as they slowly backed away, and the bear followed. They picked up the pace when the grizzly raised onto its back legs and lunged towards them.
Where it got really large and it showed its claws, and it felt like it was going to attack us. So that was really, really frightening.
And so I put up both my hands, made myself as large as possible, and just roared as loudly as I could.
The two say they were not properly prepared and will always carry bear spray on hikes from now on. They reported the encounter to Alberta Parks. Berry picking farms around the Edmonton area are preparing for a big season after a rainy spring and summer. CTV's Merrick Cash surveyed this year's crop.
Berry picking season has arrived with a bang.
Our opening day was one of the best opening days we've had in years, and maybe ever, actually.
Horse Hill Berry Farm, northeast of Edmonton, has been open for less than a week. Rows upon rows of raspberries are up for grabs.
Break in the rain and hopefully get it before the rush comes in.
This year, we've had a lot of rain, a lot of sun, like the right amount in May and June, and that's led to us having lots of berries.
Southwest of the city, Big Rock Berry Farm is now open for Saskatoon berries. Raspberries are right around the corner.
We've got probably more berries on the trees than we've ever seen right now, and the size of the berries is fantastic.
Owner Tim Dara says he expects a bustling year out on the patch.
One of the things that we usually gauge on how good the patch is how long it takes for someone to pick a pail of Saskatoons. On a good year, it's usually around 20 minutes, half an hour, and this year people are picking a pail in 10-15 minutes. So it's easy picking for them, and that just makes it that much easier for them to come out and enjoy their time.
Back at Horse Hill Berry Farm, staff members are enjoying the uptick in business so far.
Our peak season usually isn't until the last week of July, beginning of August, so we expect to be open at least 6 weeks.
And from the sounds of it, there will be plenty of berries for the picking. Merrick Takash, CTV News, Edmonton.
Programming brought to you by James H. Brown Injury Lawyers, the heavy hitters of injury law.
Well, temperature-wise today, it was a little bit backwards. We started off with our high of 16 degrees, and then our temperature fell a little bit as we went throughout the day. With the rain and showers, we dipped to 11, and then as we got into the later part of the afternoon or early evening, we saw our temperature rebound to 13 and 14 degrees. Tomorrow, a little bit more of a traditional temperature trend. We'll start off cooler and see our temperature climb as we go throughout the day. So our high was 16 again. That was reached earlier on into the day. Most temperatures throughout the province for today were in the mid-teens, We'll start to see the warmth push in for tomorrow, more so in the north, and then spread further south as we get into Wednesday. As far as Tuesday is concerned, overnight, fairly clear in the north. We will still be mostly cloudy. The rain will stay to the south of us. And then as we progress throughout Tuesday, we'll see a lot of clearing. By the time we get into the late afternoon and early evening, mainly sunny sky and a fairly clear evening to follow. Let's take a look at the lows. We'll be around 7. Areas to the north of us, about 7 degrees to start off in the morning. Red Deer, cooler 4 degrees. Calgary starting off at 6. And as we take a look at the forecast for Tuesday, we'll see temperatures around 20 degrees, slightly warmer for high level in Peace River. As we go throughout the day, we'll see most of the sun in northern areas of the province, and that's where more of the warmth will be. As we look further south, still some rain and showers as we go throughout the early part of Tuesday, with temperatures struggling, but that will change Wednesday as that warmth will push further south. In the morning, we start off at 9 degrees, mostly cloudy, wind light. Into the afternoon, 20, possibly 21, and mainly sunny. It's going to be nice and bright as we get into the afternoon and evening. And then Wednesday, 25. A little bit more clouds, slight chance of scattered showers in the afternoon, pretty slight, 27 on Thursday. That's the warmest day for this week, but we do have warmer days coming our way for next week. Could see some thunderstorms late in the day. Friday, 23, 21 on Saturday. So next weekend, we see temperatures drop slightly, but we will see a sunnier weekend than the one we just had, 23 on Sunday. And as we end off July, we have temperatures into the high 20s, possibly around 30 degrees for next Wednesday and Thursday. So the forecast a little bit up, a little bit down, and up once again. Nothing too cool. It's looking relatively dry. And again, for tomorrow, as we go throughout the day, lots of sun into the afternoon, a high of 20.
It wasn't exactly great beach weather this weekend, but that didn't stop these corgis from having a great time in Devon. For a dog so low to the ground, these corgis sure move fast. Corgis and their owners took to the North Saskatchewan River for a friendly competition. Organizers were looking for the fastest corgi in the city while fostering a growing corgi community.
It's hard to count dogs. We had over 400 people registered and definitely upwards of 120 corgis. And so the fun and the cuteness overload continues to grow every year.
We're scratching each other.
There were also the loudest bark competition and a costume parade. Of course, if they got a little too warm, the dogs could rest and cool off their little legs in the water. It wasn't welcome everywhere, but at least one event in the city embraced the moisture. This is the Edmonton Horticultural Society's annual garden tour. Owners of the top gardens play host. Many attendees brought their umbrellas and say the rain is not as bad as last year's smoke.
Gardeners are hardcore, so they'll come out rain or shine, and they do. A lot of the gardeners, they come here, they see their friends or fellow gardeners, they all chat, and they talk to each other about all the different plants they can grow.
The event is the Edmonton Horticultural Society's biggest fundraiser of the year. A man in Edmonton is spending a little more than 2 days on the Ferris wheel at the K-Days, only getting off for bathroom breaks. CTV's Amanda Anderson explains how he plans to pull it off and why.
Chris Sheets is taking his love of amusement park rides to new heights on this Ferris wheel.
I didn't think I'd be nervous. I love rides, but I watched it doing a little bit of warm-up today, and it's moving fairly quick, and it's rocking back and forth. So
once the Ferris wheel gets started, Sheets is in store for the longest ride of his life. It's here he'll spend 54 consecutive hours.
This will be good to start 54 hours nice and soggy.
He's only allowed a 5-minute bathroom break each hour, and even when K-Day shuts down for the night, this is where he'll be.
At 11 o'clock, they're going to kind of keep me up in the air, and I'm just going to hang out there, literally hang out, and wait for it to start again the next day.
Not only does he hope to break the current world record of 53 consecutive hours on an amusement park ride, he's raising money for Alberta Dreams, an organization that provides wishes to kids with severe chronic or life-threatening illnesses.
Consecutive hours might probably get a little bit difficult, but again, the children that are going to be riding with me that we've had a chance to help through Alberta Dreams, their lives are always difficult, so 54 hours will be nothing for me.
The Otar family joined Sheets on the Ferris wheel for his first few rotations. Evie, who has cerebral palsy, was granted her wish for a swim spa last month.
To get her into a hot tub is just an out-of-this-world experience for her. She can relax. She, can be free of gravity for a little bit, and she actually sleeps really well that night, which is really rare.
They hope to raise $54,000 to help grant 50 wishes this year.
People can come and they can ride with me. Of course, they could donate and show their support here on, and they can also go to albertadreams.ca to contribute.
His 54-hour ride will come to an end on Wednesday at 5 p.m. Amanda Anderson, CTV News, Edmonton.
54 hours on the Ferris wheel. I would need a few more breaks than that. Maybe using the washroom for something else. That's all the time we have tonight. Thank you for tuning in and have a great rest of your night.